Troy Terry is back and he is locked in. But was it really that much of a win against that lineup the Blackhawks put out there? We'll talk about all of that and more on this edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome everyone to Locked On Anaheim Ducks. How's it going? I'm your host, Jason JD Hernandez, covering hockey for over a decade. Thanks for making this your first listen of the day. Don't forget this podcast is free and available across all platforms. My Twitter's at StimpyJD, show's Twitter's at LO_Ducks. Let's get right into it. So this is coming out later because I did not actually watch the game until this morning because I was busy last night doing my public address thing. So actually knowing what was going to happen, I was curious as to how we got to that point, how we got to the Ducks actually A, out shooting Chicago, B, outplaying the Blackhawks. And the first thing I noticed was the lineups. So I'm going to talk about just like the tanking that might be going on and a little bit about Troy Terry. So just to give some background, the Blackhawks, the Ducks, the Blue Jackets, they're all going for that number one pick right now in Connor Bedard. And while there was a quote out from Gary Bettman a while back that tanking isn't really happening and tanking is a script. No, there's absolutely, maybe not direct tanking, but maybe there's some form of we're not going to put out our best players, so we're going to try to lose a bunch of these games in order to get this top draft pick, at least Bedard or Fantilli. And what did the Blackhawks do with their lineups? Well, first off, they were stinky, folks. They were really bad. The Chicago Blackhawks, as it turned out, had to hold out players for trade-related issues. We'll get to that on the third segment of this podcast. I'll talk about trades and all that jazz. But I'm out here watching these lineups going, what? Really? This is who the Blackhawks are going to be trotting out now. Oh, great. Goody. Yeah, the Chicago Blackhawks put out Seth Jones. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. They had Max Domi. All right, that's fine. They had no Patrick Kane. Taze is obviously out for the long future. So no Patrick Kane for trade-related purposes. Oh, so we don't have Patrick Kane out there. That means that the Blackhawks are going to put out this crappy lineup. I mean, that's who they really put out there. You had Athanasiou out there. You had Tyler Johnson, who has been good as of late. The just picked up David Gust. You had Jujhar Khaira. Like, a lot of these names leave much to the imagination. I'm sorry. But considering who the Blackhawks had even a couple of seasons ago, this team is a shell of its former self. Peter Mrazek in goal. Mrazek has been, he's been a goalie this season. The Ducks at least have some firepower still out there. You still have Zegras. You still have Troy Terry, who's an all-star. You still have John Klingberg, who will get traded soon. You have a McTavish. Adam Henrique may have played his last game as a Duck. We don't know that. I'm going to say Henrique is still going to be a Duck after this deadline. So there you have it. The lineups were total crap for the Blackhawks. Maybe they're actually going for that number one pick. Hey, the Ducks right now still have the second worst record, but if Anaheim keeps winning these games, they're going to find themselves with the third or fourth best odds. They might miss out on one of those two top picks altogether. Maybe the Ducks want to consider they want one of those top two picks. I'm just saying, maybe they want that. As far as the game itself, got to give it up for Troy Terry. Troy Terry was playing on a different level on this game. And I love Troy Terry a lot. Troy Terry is one of my favorite players in the NHL. Definitely my favorite on this young Ducks team. During this game, he nearly had 2 goals. The goal that he did have was kind of on a weird bounce off of, I believe it was Max Domi, where this is the fourth goal of the game, by the way, where Troy Terry just kind of bounced it off the bar, off of Domi, into the net. This is like some weird backyard basketball crap going on, where you kind of go like off the floor, off the backboard, nothing but net. Those of you, like the real ones, they remember those commercials. Remember the old Michael Jordan, Larry Bird commercials where it'd be like, off the floor, off the backboard, nothing but net. And it'd get more ridiculous where it'd say like off the scoreboard, off the floor, off the backboard, nothing but net. Like, it would just get ridiculous. I don't think Troy Terry called bank on that one. I don't think he did. But it was a nice goal nonetheless. And Troy Terry, right now, looking very good. That was his 16th of the season. If it wasn't for him being out with injury, I still would have said he could get to 40 goals. There's still a good amount of games left. I don't know about 30 right now, but Troy Terry could certainly get to 25 goals this season. He is still going to be the backbone of your team. I don't think he should be traded. Should the Ducks explore Troy Terry and all that? I don't know if they should explore it. I think they've got to get contract stuff settled before even thinking, like, they've got to extend his contracts. Troy Terry is the all-star on that team. Troy Terry has been seen wearing the A in recent games. In my mind, if there's a couple of guys that are untouchable, McTavish is one of them. Zegras is one of them. Troy Terry is also one of them. They're still young. They still have a lot of upside. And I know there's been a couple people saying like, well, what if the Ducks were to explore a Troy Terry trade? I mean, there's no harm in exploring and seeing what's out there in the market, but I don't think the Ducks are going to get anything close worth the value for Troy Terry right now. I honestly don't see that at all. So maybe now is not the time to explore a Troy Terry trade. I don't think now is the time to explore an Adam Henrique trade because Henrique is going to be out for weeks. He is week to week. He might not even play the rest of this regular season. If he gets dealt, that's a big, big if, then the NHL just might say, well, hold on. You're trading for Adam Henrique, who's not going to play until the NHL playoffs when all the cap shenanigans, could happen. The salary cap goes out the window. You can all of a sudden have Adam Henrique on your team for a deep playoff run. And also, again, if he's healthy enough. We don't know the health of Adam Henrique going forward. We don't know if he's going to play, as I said, we don't know if he's going to play the rest of this season. And at this point, I don't know what you can even get back for a not 100% Adam Henrique. So these are all things that have to be put into consideration if you're the Anaheim Ducks. I think the guys, a goalie probably could get traded. Klingberg is as good as gone. And you know what? I'm going to talk about John Klingberg a little bit more after the first intermission. We'll get to that on the other side. But first, I want to talk to you guys about Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever. And folks, if you haven't tried Built Bar yet, what are you waiting for? Built Bar has some amazing macros. It has, so many fantastic flavors covered in a chocolate fondue. It is good for you if you want a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, and all kinds of great flavors out there like cookies and cream, which, by the way, you can buy at your local Walmart or local Sam's Club. Or if you want to try some of these new Built Puffs flavors, like the one I just got, the maple donut, the animal cracker one, hey, try it for yourself. Go to built.com right now and get 15% off your next order by using the promo code LOCKEDON15. Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You're locked in once again with Jason JD Hernandez. All right, so let's talk about the game itself that happened last night at the Ponda. Another slow start for the Ducks, where they were allowing Chicago to have their way. Poor Lukas Dostal, who got the start, was just getting peppered with shots early on. It was like 5-0, 6-0 shots early on. Chicago had pretty much all the momentum the first half of the first period. Like, where was this Ducks team headed? They were headed towards another loss. But somehow, Isaac Lundestrom on a sweet cross-ice pass from Troy Terry just nailed it. He roofed that one. First off, the Tyler Johnson shot, that was top corner. Dostal couldn't even stop that one. That's just a very good shot on the power play by Tyler Johnson. And the PK, again, for the Ducks is struggling, as it has been all season. The Lundestrom shot, that was just a rocket of a pass from Troy Terry and a rifled shot from Isaac Lundestrom. Chef's kiss. But what I really liked was the John Klingberg assist to Jakob Silfverberg to finish the first period. That was a thing of beauty. Klingberg, from about, close to the point area, had it redirected to Jakob Silfverberg. So Klingberg, from the point, gets it towards the net. Silfy shows his stick, redirects it, and Jakob right away points to Klingberg and say, that was all you, buddy. So Klingberg already starting to show that, hey, maybe I'm worth something to a different team. Klingberg has 24 points this season, starting to come around a little bit. 4 points in his last 3 games. You think he wants to get out of Anaheim? You think he wants to show other competing teams, I have got something left in the tank. I'm ready to contribute wherever I can. Just, really think about that. 4 points in the last 3 games with 1 more game before the deadline. I think that John Klingberg is ready to be dealt. And at this point, I could see him getting at least a second round pick. If he has another good game tomorrow against the Capitals, then dare I say this, he could maybe get a first. He's been hot as of late. The 2 points against the Panthers, the goal against the frickin' Carolina Hurricanes. I still can't believe the Ducks won that game, by the way. And then the apple against the Blackhawks. Yeah, he's looking good. We know he's going to get traded. We know teams are going to go after him. Why not? Just trade him now or trade him Thursday. See what you can get for John Klingberg. And even though maybe it won't happen, I would like to believe that maybe he can get a first round pick. We'll see about that. So that was the second goal. Then it was tied up in the second period. Andreas Athanasiou, former Los Angeles King, he scored on the power play. Ducks fans, if you're a fan of getting scored on in the power play, then yeah, this game was for you. If you're a fan of good penalty killing, this game was not for you. If you're a fan of good penalty killing, then why are you a fan of the Ducks? Because the Ducks right now have a PK percentage of 72.9%. Close to bottom in the league, once again, if not for the Vancouver Canucks, who are getting very close to breaking the NHL record for the worst PK in one season in NHL history. Their PK percentage right now is 66.7%. That means every 3 PKs that Vancouver has, they will get scored on one of them. That's how bad the Canucks penalty killing is. But the Ducks are right there. The Ducks are right there towards the bottom of the league. They would be the worst if it wasn't for the Canucks, for what it's worth. But then something magical happened towards the end of the second period. With 17 and a half seconds left in the second period, Mason McTavish going to work, but really it was Cam Fowler going to work, getting a key turnover in the Ducks defensive end, getting it out to Vetrano in the neutral zone, right to Mason McTavish, who continued to go to work, fighting off a defender and having a great pass to Max Jones for his 5th of the season. Then in the third, Troy Terry unleashed his magic. That's 46 points for Troy Terry. And also that assist went to Mason McTavish. So McTavish, 2 primary assists, 1 secondary, a 3-point night for Mason McTavish. Ducks win 4-2. Let me repeat that. The Ducks win against the Blackhawks 4-2. They finished the month of February with 3 consecutive wins. Yeah, their second such streak this season. The Ducks did have a streak earlier this year. This was in fact in January, when the Ducks also had a 3-game win streak against the Coyotes, the Avalanche, and the Coyotes again. So the Ducks got a 3-game streak. Woo! That's their longest, or that ties their longest streak of the season, folks. They haven't had a 4-game winning streak in so long. But hey, you know what? Ducks fans, they'll take this. They will take this if you want to see some good hockey, right? All right. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Chicago Blackhawks after the second intermission. And I'm going to talk about the Blackhawks lineup and what they did. We'll get to that on the other side. But right now, I want to talk to you guys about Athletic Greens. Now, I began taking Athletic Greens because I wanted better gut health. I wanted an optimized immune system, and I wanted a supplement that actually tastes pretty good, and I hate taking vitamins and pills. So what is AG1? Well, with 1 scoop of AG1, you're getting all kinds of vitamins, adaptogens, etc. to help start your day right. And this special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, your energy. And I started taking it because I was training for the New York Marathon. I don't have a marathon immediately, but I'm still taking it right now just to keep up with my gut health and with my immune system. And it's recommended by professional athletes and amateur athletes all around the world. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day, and that's it. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs along with your first purchase. Just visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. That's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with JD Hernandez. And while this is Locked On Anaheim Ducks, this is going to go into more of NHL news because this is a pretty big deal. So we found out why certain players were held out of the lineup pretty, not early in the day, but definitely beforehand, where we found out that the Blackhawks were going to make one of 2 deals. Yeah, they've made 2 deals over the last 24 hours. One of which took place yesterday right before the game. The Chicago Blackhawks made a deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah. I guess we're helping out the Leafs now? Sure. So the Blackhawks got Joey Anderson, Pavel Gogolev, who's an AHL player. They also got a 25 first and a 26 second, top 10 protected. Here's what the Blackhawks gave up. Jake McCabe, who's had a quietly okay season, 20 points this season. Jake McCabe at half retained salary. That's what the Maple Leafs get. Toronto also gets Sam Lafferty, who is a younger type player, also with about 20 points this season. Also has been a pretty decent player for the Blackhawks this season. He's been good. And then you also throw in a 2024 fifth and a 2025 fifth conditional, and that completes the trade. So the Blackhawks lost Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty before last night's game. They also held out Patrick Kane for trade reasons, and we found out why literally as I'm recording this. I'm just kind of going through the tweets as we speak. The trade is now official. The Chicago Blackhawks have traded Patrick Kane for a conditional second, a 2025 fourth, and two players, Andy Walensky and Vili Jarvi. Oh, also the Rangers get Patrick Kane and Cooper Zek. And Arizona, being the third team in on this, they get a 2025 third round pick. So kind of a 3-team deal here. But the big piece, Patrick Kane is going to Broadway. He's going to be playing for the Blue Shirts with the New York Rangers. That's a big deal. I think that puts them almost over the top. If New York isn't one of the favorites in the East now, I don't know who is. Because you've got the Boston Bruins. I think they're going to make a trade before the deadline's up. I think they're not done. New York, they're looking very good. I still got to put Carolina up there as well. New Jersey made a trade. I don't put New Jersey in the top 3 in the conference. In fact, if it winds up being the Rangers and Devils, I got to think the Rangers win that matchup, honestly. I don't see the Devils getting past round 1 if they have to play New York. So that is the big trade. So Chicago loses Kane. They lost McCabe. They lost Lafferty. That's why you had that crappy lineup at the Ponds last night. So maybe it is kind of that Chicago's tanking, but it's also that they just got rid of guys. So there's not many other guys on the road trip with them right now. So it's really a piece-wise roster for the Blackhawks right now. They might wind up doing worse than Anaheim the rest of the season. Of course, this depends on who Anaheim winds up trading. We only have less than 3 days left before the trade deadline. So still a lot to be determined over the next few days. And speaking of the next few days, here's what's going on this podcast and all around. So I still don't know whether I will be on the road this weekend. I might be gone, who knows. But there will be no show tomorrow, March 1st. No show. I will be gone literally all day tomorrow. So no podcast on Wednesday. We will be back with goals on Thursday. And we'll also maybe have a late Thursday, early Friday show because trade deadline stuff. And depending on whether I am gone or not, we will have an additional show on Friday. And I'll be joining for trade deadline stuff. Or I will be gone. So I still honestly don't know yet. I hope to find out by tomorrow. But as it is, no show tomorrow. 2 shows later on in the week. So just wanted to give you that update for transparency's sake. All right. Don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms. You can follow me on Twitter at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter's at LO_Ducks. You could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And this podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube as well. Once again, thank you all for your continued support. It is greatly appreciated. And for those of you that happen to be in the Palm Springs area, check out a Firebirds game. You'll hear my dulcet tones on there. So once again, thanks so much for listening and watching. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason JD Hernandez saying have a great rest of the evening. Please remember to be safe out there, be kind to one another, and Ducks fly together.